Hi friends, welcome to another episode of Nail Business Fundamentals. I'm Hermann Morris with the Nail Hub. So last episode we talked about the pyramid for success, and we talked about how without mindset we can't really expect to have the results that we want in any endeavor, right? So before we get started on what is the proper mindset that we want to adopt, I wanted to just add a little color to this same topic and just point out a couple things. So if you'll notice, most people live in the top two tiers in tools and skills. All right, and that's why most people don't get the results that they want when it comes to their business or, like I said, any other thing that they're trying to achieve. And I want you to think about the last time that you went to a trade show or something like that, or any group, any large group of like-minded individuals. Notice that almost every conversation always devolves in talking about tools, right? So if you go to a trade show and you start just gabbing about everything that's going on, whatever, almost everything ends up devolving into, oh, did you see the new X? Or, oh, I tried the new Y. Or, oh, I don't like the way that this product works, or whatever it is. It almost always devolves into that conversation. Also, notice that, well, that's what they're there to do, to sell you product in an event like a trade show, correct? No big deal. It's nothing wrong with it. But also notice that the next thing that they give you are some seminars or classes to improve your skills, right? So again, living in those top two tiers, tools and skills. Notice that they rarely ever provide something like business training or even much less mindset training in those venues. Now, there might be some, but I guarantee you that if they do provide those, that the attendance to those classes or those lessons or whatever it is would be a lot lower than some of the other classes or demonstrations about the newest, coolest lamp or e-file or whatever, right? So again, most people live in those top two tiers, and that's why they don't get the results that they want. Not that there's anything wrong with those two things, but that just those two things alone are not sufficient to get the results that we want, all right? So I think everybody now understands that. Just wanted to, kind of give you a little bit more, detail on that whole concept. All right. So then, what is the mindset that we want to adopt? And the number one mindset that I teach and that I coach out there, whether it's in the self-defense world, if I'm teaching this at a corporate setting or as a consultant to a business or something like that, is accountability. The mindset of accountability is the mindset that will yield you the best results. And why is that? And what is accountability? A lot of people think that just equate accountability just with responsibility, and there's absolutely an aspect of that. Yes, it's about responsibility, but taking self-responsibility. So ownership of the things that happen to you, okay? And that's what we mean by internalizing. We want to internalize the things that are happening around us and say, what could I have done better? What if I did this instead of that? All right? It's a very empowering mindset because it helps us feel in control of our lives and of our destiny. All right? That is in direct opposition with the most toxic mindset that exists, and that's the victim mentality. That is exactly the opposite of the accountability mindset, okay? And that is externalizing everything. It's basically looking at everything, all of your failures or the lack of achievement or anything that hasn't worked out in your life, and saying it's because this person did that, or that person said this, or because of the economy, or because this happened, or a lot of these external situations around our lives, right? And they're to blame for me not being where I want to be today, right? That is the textbook definition or example of victim mentality, and that is one that we want to avoid. So again, if we go back to thinking about accountability, then we are taking ownership of our circumstances and making sure that we adapt where we need to, if we need to pivot, if we need to cut bait and do something else, whatever it is, the mindset of accountability is going to keep us with an open mentality and an open mind and heart to all of those things, and while always feeling in control. All right. So to make the point, I'm going to share with you a personal story. And I hope that this kind of resonates with some of you. I think a lot of you will actually identify with this because I think everybody at some point has been in a similar situation. And so when we first decided to jump 2 feet into the pool of entrepreneurship, and I convinced Liz that, hey, we want to go and we want to make your passion of nails into a business, and we're going to open a salon. And I convinced her to leave her very lucrative job that she had been had for several years in big tech, and we basically cut our income in half overnight. Doing that, then it was obviously a very challenging time. But we understood the challenges, and we understood that there had to be a lot of sacrifices in what we were getting ourselves into. That was not a big deal. But I kept my corporate job, and it was a job that I really enjoyed. It was in a company that was very small when I started. It was almost still a startup, and I had a lot of leeway. I basically almost ran my own little business in what I did, and I was able to do and not do and experiment, and it was just a very, very great job that I really, really appreciated. So that started changing when the company got purchased by a huge multinational, multi-billion-dollar company, and the company culture started to change a lot. The leadership started to change a lot. There were just a lot of different things that made it so that I was not enjoying my job much anymore. And so what happened was that I felt that I was pretty much in a bind, and I found myself feeling like I had no options and that I was trapped because I couldn't just jump ship, right? I now had I was the sole provider for my household. The business was not up and running to the extent that it would replace Liz's previous job, let's say, and so I couldn't just quit and go do something else. So I really kind of fell into this pit of despair for a while, and I just didn't see how I could get out of it. Now again, notice what all of those things, all of the different things that I outlined that were the reason for me not being happy, right? That was exactly how I was thinking, right? That was the victim mentality. I started to think, well, if it wasn't for the fact that we got acquired by this company, if it wasn't that they started implementing all of these different changes and bringing in these different leaders that were changing things around, and that led to me not having as much of a leeway and freedom in my job. And so that's all I was thinking. Everything was externalizing all of the things that were happening around me instead of, hey, what could I have done? What can I do to change my circumstances? Ironically enough, this is the culture of accountability, and the whole concept of accountability is what I was teaching internally at that business, and I was not able to harness it because I was in such a dark place. So how did I get myself out of that? Well, it was tough. And again, I couldn't see any other options or any other opportunities around me at the time because I was in such a dark place. And it wasn't until I adopted the other mindset that I want to talk to you about, which is a mindset of gratitude. And gratitude is an amazing mindset to adopt. It's also a superpower, I'm telling you. Now, don't talk about this as much when it comes to the business world and the corporate world. This is more of kind of like in your personal life, okay? But I wanted to share this one with you as well because it's a great transitional mindset. It will help you get out of that funk, get out of the mire, and be able to look at everything else around you in a much different light, much more open, and it really does change things. So how was I able to adopt this in order to get to adopt the mindset of accountability? Well, when I felt so miserable and I wanted to get out of this, I finally had to kind of stop myself, stop that scary movie reel and these feelings of resentment and of despair, and I had to finally just stop and start counting my blessings. I had to stop and finally start saying, okay, what are all of the great things about my life, both professionally and personally? And I started, like I said, counting my blessings instead of everything that ails me and everything that I hate around me. And it was when I was able to do that I shifted my focus to the positive, and it made me able to open my eyes, my mind, my heart to all of these different options and possibilities that were probably there before the whole time, but I was just not open to them because, again, I was in such a deep, pit of despair, so to speak. All right. So gratitude is what then allowed me to start seeing everything else out there and saying, hey, there's a way out of this. I'm in control. I can finally adopt that mindset of accountability and realize that I'm a player in this, and I can make decisions that will affect the outcome of this whole game, right? So what did I do? I went out and I went to a different department, and I basically created my own job, and I said, hey, I think someone in your department should be doing something similar to what I'm doing over here because it's very important. I've already been doing it for years. I know how to do it. How about I come do it for you guys over here? And they're like, yeah, come on over. And so the last 2 years that I was at that company before I quit that job to come and work for the Nail Hub full time, this was about 5 years ago, it was the greatest 2 years that I've ever had in a corporate world. And again, this is still the same company that was still owned by a big, big multinational, multi-billion-dollar company with, all the issues that I told you. But I created my own world in this. I created my own job. I created all of the circumstances that I wanted to have around me. I didn't want to travel as much. I wanted to work from home. I wanted all of these different things I put into place myself. Now, I could have probably done that at any point where, even during that whole period where I was, in such a funk, but I just couldn't see it. I couldn't see, past, a couple inches in front of my face because I was in such a dark place. And so again, gratitude pulled me out of there. And once I adopted accountability and I took control over my circumstances, control over my life and my fate, that I was able to then create the path out of that and create essentially the job that I wanted in the interim. So amazing. It was an amazing result to that. I left the company. I didn't even give my 2 weeks notice. I gave them 2 months. I said, hey, I know I'm the only person that does this here, and I created this job. Nobody knows how it's done. I'm going to stay around. I'm going to interview my replacement. I'm going to train my replacement. And basically, ended up being a little bit over 2 months. And I left there without burning any bridges, with great relationships. They were extremely thankful and positive about me leaving, and they wished me the best. They knew what I was going to be doing as, just jumping all into my business and becoming an entrepreneur. And it could have been very, very different if not for all of that. I could have burnt every bridge. I could have just basically told everybody to take a hike, and I could have run a huge risk of not knowing where our next meal was going to come from and put into risk our business that we were trying to get off the ground if I hadn't have gone through this whole journey. So I hope that resonates with some of you. I know that everybody at some point has felt like they've had no options, that they don't know where to go next, that there really is no way out of this mire that you find yourself in. But if you need to pull yourself out of that, go to gratitude. And once you're out there and you start seeing the light, adopt accountability. It will not fail you. I guarantee you. All right. So this is something that I teach in every field where I coach, whether it's my self-defense life, whether it's in consulting businesses, whether it's in the corporate world. This is something that I've seen have amazing results for anybody. Again, accountability and gratitude are superpowers. Embrace them, adopt them, practice them. All right. So let me know your thoughts. If you want to share some similar examples or stories, I'd love to hear them. Tell us in the comments. Tell me, what are you thankful for? Even if you're not exactly where you want to be right now in your business or any aspect of your lives, what are you grateful for right now? Start getting out of that mire. Start getting into the light and put them out there. Put them out in the universe. Let us know. Tell us, how can you be more accountable in your business? What is it that you can do more to start taking accountability and control over your life, over your business? All right. The reason why most people live in those top 2 tiers is because that's easy. Okay. If we're really excited about nails, if we're really excited about it as a hobby or as whatever it is, it's very easy to find the motivation to go get training or to practice or to buy a gadget or whatever, because we're excited about it. It's something that we like. So why is it hard for us to be in the bottom 2 tiers? because it's not very sexy. It's not very, that's where discomfort lives. We might be talking about things that we're not comfortable with, right? We might be talking about things that we know we have to do for a business, but again, we're not comfortable with, so we try to pretend that they don't exist, or we put them off. That could be doing our books. It could be, analyzing our price structure. It could be analyzing our market. A lot of these different things that we're going to teach you in this series, but that you might already be feeling like, that feels a little uncomfortable. I don't know what that is. I don't even know where to start. Now, despair not. We're going to show you the way. All right? Stay tuned for a lot more. I'll see you next time.